Hi, it's Kirby Summers, and this is a patron-only podcast. Today is July 16th, 2024, and I'm going to share with you a private email I received from a former MK Ultra trained assassin who pretty much claims that he was present during the assassination of Robert Maxwell on November the 5th, 1991. The reason I am doing this podcast for you guys today is because we have many examples of MK Ultra assassins. In fact, the MK Ultra program was effectively one that was made to train assassins. Okay, that's what the M and the K stand for. I'm not going to repeat that term here for safety reasons. But we have examples. So for example, Sirhan was a victim of MK Ultra. He did not shoot Robert F. Kennedy, but he was the fall guy. Mark David Chapman was in fact outed by former CIA officer Philip Agee, who became a whistleblower, and then he had to flee and live out the remainder of his years in Cuba. He basically said that John Lennon was killed by CIA, with Mark David Chapman having undergone some MK Ultra Delta programming in Lebanon. And then within the last couple of days, we have Thomas Matthew Crooks, who is the Trump shooter. And this just happened within the last couple of days. So some of the people that we're going to talk about include John Voight, Angelina Jolie, and a former MK Ultra trained assassin turned whistleblower, who again claims he was there when Robert Maxwell was murdered. So basically, please give this a like so other people can see that we have a new patron-only podcast. So during the time that I've been researching what we refer to as the Jeffrey Epstein case, about human trafficking and related crimes, I've been in contact with various sources, as many of you already know. Some of these are connected to intelligence, meaning that they agreed to work for intelligence, right? But others were children who did not agree to work for intelligence, but who were turned into victims of MK Ultra, and that's basically something that, if you have been following MK Ultra, as I'm sure many of you have, it is what they do. That you take unsuspecting people. That's what the program does. They experiment on them. This was outed in 1975 during the Church Committee hearings. And he basically says that he was turned into an MK Ultra assassin when he was a child. And so that story basically collaborates what we've heard from other people, that he was forced into having, let's call it, risky behavior. Follow that risky behavior, starts with the S letter, with high-level politicians, including a president of the United States. Not dissimilar, right? We have heard about Bill Clinton, who was a former president of the United States. We have heard about many former presidents of the United States connected with one or more of these so-called trafficking rings that I believe are all part of the same thing. So in addition to this, he claimed he was trained to be a top level assassin. So basically, I'm going to share with you a tiny portion of what he claims happened to Robert Maxwell, who was Ghislaine Maxwell's father, at the time that he was found to have either slipped or fallen off of his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine. So he claims that when he boarded the yacht, there were two minor Asian girls that Maxwell was, let's say, improperly behaving with at the time that this happened. He also claims that the girls were removed before authorities arrived, and according to him, one of them was in very bad condition. He also says that the other one survived and that she actually has a YouTube channel, but he really did not want to give me her name. So he basically says verbatim, he writes to me, we found him, meaning Robert Maxwell. So it's him and the other assassins that were sent. So what I want you to start thinking about is this puts into question the theory that Maxwell was assassinated by Mossad, and or it collaborates the theory that Mossad and CIA are two sides of the same coin and they work collaboratively. Okay. All right. So basically he says, we found him skinny dipping off his boat. He was maybe 40 feet from shore between his boat and the shoreline. I came up under him and popped my head out of the water saying, you, and then, he basically said some curse words, and now you're going to die. I want to just insert here that during my own research into the so-called Epstein case, I have found information that links Robert Maxwell with the Finders, the CIA group, the Finders, that happened in Florida, I believe in I believe it was in the late sometime in the 1980s or something like that. I don't have the date in front of me, but you all know what the Finders are. Connects him to Jimmy Savile, and clearly we have the connection to Epstein through Ghislaine Maxwell, so on and so forth. And then he goes on to say, I have never seen a man that fat move so fast. He could have won the Olympics with how fast he swam to shore. I ended up having to chase him for about 100 feet or so before he fell down. Apparently, Maxwell suffered a stroke because of he was so obese, and he's trying to run away. He's, swim away, or run away once they got him to shore, and then he fell down with a stroke. So he says, I pulled his body back to the water with some help. He never identifies, by the way, who was there, quote, helping him. He basically just talks about himself. And frankly, I have seen this as it pertains to whistleblowers. They usually don't want to implicate someone else, because if the code of silence is that if you implicate someone else, you're going to be murdered, right? Because this is all part of a shadowy cabal that are involved in very horrific things, not just child trafficking, but Satanism, and a whole list of things that fall under that category. So then he goes on to say that the reason he had scrapes on his back was due to us pulling him back into the water, not because he did damage to the boat while he fell, which is what was claimed. He said, even a man as big and fat as he was would not have damaged the side of the boat. The damage was done months before by the cement block hitting the side of the boat. So he talks about another episode. Clearly, it's not the first time this MK Ultra assassin was on Maxwell's yacht. He then adds, the really big story surrounding the drug created in the MK Ultra program, Adrenochrome, is a mind control drug. It is not blood from children. That is the CIA cover story used to make people think whoever repeats it is a loon. Adrenochrome is a combination of an endocrine brain chemicals extracted from humans, then combined with a few plant chemicals which create a complete mind control drug. It is so effective that they can program a person to become a completely different personality. They can make them do anything they want done, which is how they used MK Ultra victims like myself to assassinate whoever they want. And we have no memory of what took place after the drug wears off. I can recall small portions of the hits, and others are fuller memories which seem to get clearer as time goes by. It might be that the drug is effective for 10 or 20 years. Think about it, a drug being effective for 10 or 20 years. But the memories will return, which is why many of these MK Ultra victims end up killing themselves, because they're dealing with so much trauma. And then also CIA will target them to make them look like they're crazy. If in some case they can't kill them for one reason or another, which I can't get into here. Now he goes on, we've had an extensive, during a couple of years, back and forth communication. In one of these, he mentions Angelina Jolie. And so I'm only going to include information about Bill Day, who, according to his own Wikipedia page, helped to raise Jolie. All right. So Bill Day was born on September 12th, 1959. He's a filmmaker and a YouTuber. He's worked for National Geographic. He's worked for CNN. And he co-produced the musical documentary Under the Covers for Discovery Channel, talking about the rock and roll years. He produced another one, Ordinary Joe, about a Vietnam veteran. So I'm just trying to read through his wiki. So basically this guy, Bill Day, dated Angelina Jolie's mother, whose name is Marceline Bertrand. And as I said earlier, he helped raise Angelina Jolie, who is the daughter of John Voight. He goes on to tell me that I ended up being torture programmed in 1978 by George H.W. Bush. So basically Bush Sr., Jimmy Carter, the guy that everybody thinks was such a nice man, who was president at the time, and Bill Day. So that these three men were torture programming him for the MK Ultra program. And he claims that Day was keeping Angelina Jolie's mother high on heroin, and that he was working for John Voight, keeping her drugged and out of the picture. So Angelina Jolie starred in the 2010 movie, Salt, where she is a CIA agent accused of being a Russian sleeper on the run. After there was some criticism of CIA and national security in the media, basically released at the same time of the movie Salt in 2010, Voight basically told the media that he has great admiration for all the people involved in intelligence. They do keep us safe, and we get very good crops of people all the time. And he made the statement while he was attending the premiere of Salt. So if we remember, this MK Ultra assassin, former, he's trying to get his life back, but it's very difficult for him, has claimed that, Voight is also part of the deep state. Okay, I'm going to end this here. I do look forward to your commentary. It is now no longer a secret about MK Ultra and their trained assassins. Again, the most recent being the shooter of Donald Trump, which just happened recently. We have a very long list of the so-called sleeper agents who are sort of turned on. In the case of the so-called shooter of John Lennon, it was the book Catcher in the Rye. That book has been used many times as a, one of these triggers, as are certain movies, right? Like The Wizard of Oz and, many other things. But this guy does claim that he was responsible for the death with other people. He doesn't tell me whether they're CIA or Mossad. Nobody has ever implicated CIA in the murder of Maxwell. But what we have to remember is that Maxwell had a lot of connections in the United States. He was photographed with Ronald Reagan. We know that he bribed John Tower, who was in Ronald Reagan's administration. We know that he purchased the New York Daily News in 1987. I believe it was 1989, a little bit before his death. We know that Maxwell, Robert Maxwell, and Donald Trump were very good friends. They were photographed together on the Lady Galen going back to 1987. I mean, there's a lot of crossover with these people that has only really come out after the Epstein case went public. But what still has not come out is the MK Ultra aspect. Maybe it'll come out now regarding this latest assassination attempt. All right, guys, please give this a like. Talk soon. Bye.